Speaking about investments in real estate, what other places here in the region you believe in?
Honestly, from a yield point of view, especially for this year, it's still Singapore.
This is Gavin Chia, the CEO of Moomoo Singapore, one of the largest trading platforms here. Gavin, a Singaporean, was the company's first employee in the city-state and has built a team of over 100 people. He shared why he has come to appreciate Singapore more after traveling abroad, the most common mistakes Singaporeans make in investments and trading, and the top hot niches to invest in Singapore. I'm Max, an entrepreneur and YouTuber. Let's go!
Is there like a dream place for you, like a country or some city, or just some place that you, wow, that's the I really like?
Honestly, Max, if you ask me, is there a dream place? Being able to travel to so many places. The thing about the places that I went is, as much as there's a good mix of, who are underdeveloping countries and those who are developed countries. Seriously, it makes me appreciate Singapore more.
That's what many Singaporeans told me, actually.
Like
after traveling abroad, after living abroad, okay, Singapore is not too bad. We're really done something right.
Yes, I'm serious, because sometimes you just need to go to a place to compare.
Yeah.
And you realize that, as much as my friends, my family, my colleagues, they're all here, from a convenience point of view, from myself point of view, mentally, Singapore is still the place that I'll prefer, as much as it's also a place that I have grown up, and I've studied in. Yeah.
Do you feel like very strong attachment to Singapore because you grew up here and because also you went to national service?
Yes.
So I guess you have a lot of ties with Singapore, emotional ties. So that's your home. So it's basically on two levels. From the convenience standpoint, it's a great place, but also because it's your place.
It's surely a place where I knew it well, but it is always to those countries where I can be spending anywhere from 3 days to a week. That I start missing Singapore. And what do I miss about Singapore? It can be as much as my family members. It can be also the food. I'm craving for certain food because sometimes I realize I have certain taste bud. I prefer something that have stronger taste. I may not be able to find in any countries other than in Singapore. So
Malaysia?
No. Still a little bit different. Still a little bit different, even though it can be the same food. Still a little bit different. So it's a lot of preference, a lot of missing out certain routines that I would do in Singapore. For example, maybe every Saturday or even Sundays, either one of the days, my whole family will have chicken rice. At the same shops.
It's like a tradition.
Tradition, yes.
Nice.
And it has been with us for the past few years. So it's something that we will do together. And if I don't do it, I always realize that I missed out something last week. Just an example that shows that Singapore is still the place that I prefer to be.
Yeah. What would be the place, let's say, if you have a long vacation? Probably it's not possible. Let's say 1 month vacation, you want to detach completely. Where would it be? For 1 month, you live somewhere and you take your family members with you.
One place that I like to spend more time together with my family, especially, will be Japan. I know it's nothing to do with the yen. As much as I know yen has depreciated and now it's so much worthwhile to be there. From a culture, from a weather, from even the people there. I got to say, I'm start to look at the time that me and my family we spend there. I got to say, because I have 2 young boys, and it's very important to find a place where they like to spend time. So they get to go to Legoland, and we can spend a few days there. And even to Disneyland, where we will, stay nearby. And I guess in Japan, there's still many places, skiing, depending on the festive season. There's so many things that we have not done yet. And if you ask me if I have a choice that, I can spend, let's say, even a month there, I think I will do that in Japan then, together with my family members.
It's actually the same for me.
Same for you?
Yeah, Japan is just so unique.
Yes, the places. There's so many history.
Yeah.
There's so many things that I still like to explore.
Speaking about Japan, me and my good buddy, we just recently discussed the project. So he actually started looking at this project because yen is weak.
Yes.
So he was exploring the chances to buy a piece of land in Hokkaido
Okay.
and then build a like chalet, build a house,
Nice.
and then to live there for like maybe 1 or 2 months a year, and then the rest of the time to rent it out. And then he actually went to Japan, like meet some agents like last week, and we met. And he's a bit hesitant about this project because because still the yield is still like
It's a little bit low.
super little.
Super little. It's a little bit low, yes.
Yeah, it's when the yen is weak, and then Hokkaido is super popular destination, but still from investment standpoint, it's like, meh.
Because if you know Japan, for the longest of time, the interest rate has always been, is low there. So yeah, the yield is being known. But if you're looking there for longer term, never know. I mean, just for oneself, or just for super long term, just to go there for, every 2 or 3 times a year. Yeah, because I do have a few clients. They actually bought somewhere very near to the ski resort. So in Niseko. Niseko. So they have already decided every year they will just be there at the same time around there just to enjoy skiing, etc. And so that they have a place to go to fall on.
Speaking about investments in real estate, what other places here in the region you believe in?
From an property investment point of view, I have friends who invested in Thailand, in Malaysia, or even, most of them in Singapore. But at least, honestly, from a yield point of view, especially for this year, it's still Singapore. It's still Singapore. I mean, there were a surge in terms of rental yield. There were a surge in terms of the prices. Partly it's because due to the geopolitical tension, there were a lot of money coming in. But there were also a few cooling measures that were made by the government, just to make sure that it's still affordable for people, for the younger generations and for people like who have not bought a house yet. So due to pandemic, there were also a delay in terms of there's a government project which we call it the HDB, which is that's the board in charge of this government project to build more houses. There were a delay of anywhere ranging from 5 to 7 years due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I heard recently, I read on the news, and it has been shortened to 3 years or even slightly less than that. The good thing is during that pandemic, because of this long wait where people, couples wanted to get married, they actually they bought condos instead. So that caused condos, which is those private properties, the price to go up even higher. Things sort of cool down, but if you want to talk about past performance, my impression is always about Singapore property. Seems to be doing better as compared to other regions.
Regarding the real estate investment in Singapore, I have a friend, he actually invests more in commercial and industrial properties in Singapore.
Industrial property, commercial, industrial, okay.
Yeah, he told me that the yields are much better. He just sold his shop house for 2.5 mil, and he bought it 2 years ago for 2 mil, and he paid, I think, 25% cash and 75% loan. So basically, $500,000 profit minus the
So
bank.
I understood he used 25% of the amount to get that profit, the $500,000 profit.
I think Singapore, anyways, the market is more stable. So
It's more stable. Partly it's because our setup will be a little bit more towards a long-term setup.
Yeah.
That means we want to make sure that from a housing point of view, it's constantly affordable. As much as we do factor inflations, appreciation of the property in Singapore, we still want to keep it affordable. And that's the reason why I believe the Singapore government has been putting a lot of effort to make sure in terms of the salary is also going up for many people who are younger. And just to make sure that from an affordability point of view, it's constantly balanced.
Singapore is the highest number of people owning his own property.
Yes.
I think Singapore is the highest in the world.
Singapore is the highest, and it's one of the highest, or if not is the highest. I think we are. It goes a long way because we are always taught by our parents. I'm going to say nearly all of us there's always a saying to have a shelter over our head during rainy days. So that's the reason why we always want to, whether you're getting married, or whether you're getting older, it's always good to have a house, have your own place, That's the reason why it's important, as much as that's a dream. And, together with the Singapore government, the Singapore government actually makes our dream come true. It's just that is always, I thought of something. It's always a little bit funny because I have friends who are from China. They will pay everything in full. But over on our side, we need to pay our property for the next 20 years, 35 years. And it's a long-term commitment.
How actually, if you can elaborate on how were you raised by your parents? What they taught you about money and about like the attitude towards money when you were a kid?
I got to say I'm from a very humble beginning. I stay in a HDB, a 4-room flat, HDB, and no helpers.
No helpers.
No helpers. I mean, because nowadays it's a little bit different. I mean, no helpers for me is always I'm taught to be, if you want to do anything, be independent and do it. From a money point of view, is the word is to save, and is to save for rainy days. I got to say when I was so much younger, saving is always a little bit difficult for me. Because I spend most of my money on food then. Yeah, because if anyone is able to, anyone who knew me long time ago, I mean, I got to say when I was so much younger, I love food. I mean, I spend most of my money on food. It was interesting because, when you're younger, the appreciation of money is always slightly lesser as compared to now. Less responsibility and always going for what you like, I gotta say, as compared to now, when I was younger, life was a little bit simple. Other than spending on food, I would spend on stationeries, playing, buying mechanical pencil, buying books. It's a bit so much simpler. And if you look at inflation, if you factor in inflation, I have my 2 boys. I'm giving them, pocket money, daily pocket money of around $4 every day. I mean, especially to my elder one. I mean, I know there's a survey that was done recently. The average in Singapore, it should be around $3 to $4. And just imagine, I mean, I was given like a dollar a day during my old days.
Yeah.
And just 10 cents, you will be able to get something. You get a food, just like 30 cents, you get a bowl of noodles. Not able to do that. I mean, because I checked with my boys, like chicken rice easily will cost you $2 not right now in school. My elder one was like, was sharing, how much, the food was, and I was a little bit surprised, because it was so many years since I was in primary school. But coming back about the value of money is that, my parents has always shared me, it's always to save for rainy day. And, wherever we have like Chinese New Year red packets, those money that a relative gave us, it's always, it's always put into the banks. Interestingly, last time we do have like bank book. So I'm able to see that increase, that slow increase in terms of the amount of money I have in my bank book. And when I was older, I do have a little bit more control in terms of money to spend, especially I was in uni, etc. But it is still always to be thrifty about what we are always, buying, what I'm buying. My dad, my mom is always sharing with me, is always to spend things on what you need, what is the necessity. And if it's something that is good to have, maybe we can wait a while more. Maybe if you do well in a certain subject, they may try to use that to reward you.
I have Singaporean friends, and seems like many of them, they are into like special deals, special offers, discounts. Sure. That's the same kind of route that you need to save. You need to find the best deal. Also, Singaporeans are quite rational.
Yes.
And so
best deal. Yeah, you're right.
That's why you think?
I gotta say, I do have. It's no fault of anyone. Especially right now, if you look at some apps, sometimes they are giving you such a good offer. It's a little bit difficult to refuse. Especially nowadays, I may need to top up some of the food at home, or some of the things that we may need every week or every month. You are right. I mean, sometimes we may spend a little bit more and buy in bulks, hopefully to get a better deal. But that may, what my wife taught me about something was that suddenly I thought of it is always look at the expiry date, because there's always whether from a food, from any good deals, sometimes the expiry date may be a little bit closer. So there's 2 ways of thoughts. I have I have one side of my close one says that now my Gavin is expired, but you still can use it. It's just that the quality may not be that good, but you still can use it. But there's another school of thoughts is that, sorry, it's already expired. A day delay, you still got to throw it. To me, it's always to hopefully to satisfy both sides is to get something that doesn't really expire soon, and yet I can get it at a good price or a good deal.
In Moomoo, I'm pretty sure you have some research departments.
Yes, of course.
What's the difference between the attitude towards investments and how people treat and spend money, like local Singaporeans and foreigners, if you have this data and you understand the behavior?
People in Singapore, they are always looking for, I got to use that word again, is rainy day. That means they will want to invest for. They do have a portfolio of funds, but they will park a chunk of funds in terms of investing in something that is stable. Yeah, something that that can give them a certain yield in Singapore every year, and of course there will be a sum that they will use it to invest in something that is a little bit more volatile. If you look at generally, most of them are trading the US market. I believe the US market is giving that momentum, that movement that they hope to look at. That's generally how we are seeing in Singapore. But if you look at, maybe just a little bit of my sharing about people who are from other countries, generally we do, on our platform, we also do provide funds. When I share with some of the clients in Singapore who are generally in Singapore, they are looking at a yield from anywhere from 3 to 5%. But when I spoke to someone who is from further away, people from other countries, they prefer to look at somewhere around 6 to 8%. But in Singapore, if you share with the Singaporeans that anything that is above 5%, they believe that there's always an element of something that is risky that's inbuilt in that. But it's not so true for people who are not in Singapore, who doesn't live in Singapore. So these are generally things that what we observe.
Okay, I'll put you on the spot now. Can we give some
Sure.
special deal, a special offer for our viewers watching this video?
Hey, wait, do you invest? I do. I believe that to obtain the real freedom in life, you have to learn only two things. One is how to make money, another one is how to invest. And there is an app that can help you with that. It's called Moomoo, and it's all-in-one trading platform and your financial companion. So Moomoo offers a commission-free trading and super user-friendly app, which is great, especially if you're a newbie in this world, but also it has all the tools for seasoned traders. Opening an account is easy and no minimum deposit is required, which is awesome. Plus, what I personally like about Moomoo, they have a lot of educational materials like webinars, tutorials, demo accounts that you can play with. And it's actually perfect if you are just starting your trading journey.
Moreover, I arranged with the Moomoo team that you will get a 20 Singapore dollar cash coupon if you deposit 100 SGD. So that's a 20% bonus right away. Not bad, To claim this offer, use the link in description. So if you aim to grow your wealth portfolio, join Moomoo today and get access to professional tools for your trading journey. What are the biggest mistakes that you see people are making investing?
Using the emotion to drive their investment decision. Generally in Singapore, it's still sometimes it can be a more conservative, traditional place to be. And sometimes when you have stocks moving up and you have people encouraging each other, it's always good to have your own knowledge, your investment knowledge, your technical knowledge, your fundamental knowledge. It's always, whatever hearsay is always better to check with yourself, with your own knowledge itself. Generally, I'm still seeing many people who trades with emotions, but I do still have a group of people who maybe due to many reasons, maybe due to there's certain downturn in terms of stock market many years ago, or they may not want to come in anymore. These are something that, but to me, I personally feel that investing is always long term. It is always something that people should do, but do it with cautious, do it with knowledge, minus away the emotion. that emotional part after being taken away, he or she will be able to see things clearer. That's how I see it. What I also realize is when a portfolio is growing, is making money, the temptation to take profit is something that is very difficult for many of my friends, because it's another dollar more, another $100 more, another $10,000 more. It's so difficult. You know, I personally feel you still got to be disciplined. You know, when it hits a certain point in the graph, it's still important to take profit.
You invest yourself also. What's your approach from the strategic approach to investments? Let's say you have 10K, 50K or 100K. How would you split this among different opportunities for investment?
When I have 10K, I got to say is when I was having that 10,000, I still remember that I always would go for something a little bit more aggressive, partly when I was younger.
I thought you would say food. Just spend on
food. No, not food. That was younger. I mean, not food for me, yes. But somehow when I was younger, when I have that 10K, the good thing about in Singapore, I don't know whether it's good or bad, is that sometimes you will be able to use certain leverage instrument, like CFD, contract for difference, or even you are able to activate margin to buying more. I was a little bit more aggressive, but at that time or at that point of time, what I did was I was looking at some people call it a hot stock. Example like right now it will be the Nvidia. I also understand that the hot stock, there will be a certain cooling period that will end the whole run of this price start to keep surging. So what I did was, to me, is to be very disciplined. What I did was, as much as based on my technical analysis, is I constantly take profit. But when it hits a bottom, I always have this strict stop loss. Yeah, the thing about investment is that in Singapore context, is what I realized was that during when we have that $10,000, and today, for example, we make $500 from the stock market. Many of them, they doesn't put that $500 back to the investment, or rather back into buying something that you can hedge. For example, they spend it. They spend that $500. So if you look at it, I mean, so it can be, oh, guys, I got $500 in the stock market. Let's go and go to a good restaurant and let's spend it. But the thing is, that's where the discipline comes in. Your depth about using these $500 to hedge it, or whether to buy, or even to go in to make it, to buy a little bit more, so that you will be able to earn a little bit more, and your whole investment will be around 10,500, for example. That's what I did. I mean, rather than just commonly people will spend it. And but I realized that when I hit, that was like somewhere around 15 to 16,000. Actually, what I just shared, the whole thing about the stock about going up actually has sort of came down. Yeah, and that's where I sort of it hit my stop loss. And that was like the whole total profit I got was, including the funds that I put in, was like total amount was like 13K, 13. It was a valuable lesson. Reason given is no regret. I mean, that's my strategy. People may think that, hey, Gavin, I mean, you have only 10,000. Why do you want to go so aggressive? And that's the reason, because I only have $10,000.
Yeah, you're younger and you have just 10K, so maybe it makes sense to be more aggressive.
Yeah, and I was thinking, am I able to get back another set of 10,000? I think so, because at that moment I was still very young, and I just got to say that is something that I did balance out. And that's why I decided to go a more aggressive approach itself. But if you ask me if I have like a 50,000, 100,000.
Let's say, the next is 100. I have 100, what would be the strategy?
If I have 100,000, then I will park into, maybe for a good 60,000, I'll park into something safer. That will give me a certain yield every year. But recently, I mean, or rather for the past 2 years, if you park into you will be always able to get good interest, anywhere from 3 to 5%. Just easily buying money market funds, depending on whether you are Sing denominated or US denominated, you will be able to get 3 point something to 5%. So from an interest point of view, it's already there, or from a yield point of view, it's already there. So the remaining one, that will depend on, for me, I will surely put it in a US market. At least right now for these few years or many years, it's always US market that has been the most volatile. It's always about trying to get into a stocks that I put it in this way. I'm a little bit more 60% fundamental, 40% technical. So I'm not purely a technical guy, or I'm not purely a fundamental guy. But if I want to look at the stock, I will look at fundamentally. It must be there. And technical will be my entry point and my exit point. So that's where my 40% technical analysis comes in. Generally, it has worked well for me. It has worked well for me, you know. But something that has never changed is always a strict stop loss. Yeah, there should not be any regret about losing money, because if we can earn, there's always a chance that. So it's a must-have to put a strict stop loss over there, and it has worked well for me. Will not share, but I gotta say, in terms of my investment, things are doing well. I mean, the portfolio, I mean, based on how I structured this simply.
Let's say if you have 1 mil, let's say
wow,
you and
interesting.
Like in a good position in a corporate, you have your like yearly bonus, maybe you and your spouse, or you're running business went well, and then you see like, okay, you made some nice profit, then you have like 500K maybe to 1 mil. How would you diversify your investment strategy? Maybe you go to some like a piece of real estate.
I will be looking at another property, you know, maybe a smaller one, and something that you know, I'll be renting it out to get more rental yield, because rental yield has been quite stable in Singapore. Remaining ones, at least this moment with a high interest rate, I will be putting more into 60% of that amount into high interest. It can be a banking products, or it can be money market funds. But the remaining one, as usual, I will look for opportunities out in the market itself to see what is there to invest. And if not, I will still put it into the money market funds. Because recently, I mean, if you look at the interesting part is all these funds out in the market, there's no lock-in period. So even though you're not investing, you are still entitled for interest every day. So which can be interestingly quite a substantial sum. If it doesn't touch it, and you know, $1 million, 5% a year, you know, it can be quite a substantial sum in terms of to pay off your monthly expenses, or even some of your property loans. Yeah, so it's working well, especially in such a high interest rate.
What's like one thing that you teach your kids? You constantly remind your boys like something really important for their life.
Is to be humble.
Is to be humble.
Is to be humble. It's just like on the emotional side, when you are trading, taking away emotion, being humble is always listening about what people have to share. You know, being humble will bring you down, and from there you will be able to listen to what people have in terms of their issues, their problems. And to me, is something so important. And being humble, even for me myself, has helped me in so many situations. And just by being humble has also allowed me to make so many more friends over here. So if it's something, or is something that I had taught my two boys, it is to be humble.